Please call the roll.
Calling the roll, Ms. Conwell.
Present.
Mr. Jones.
Here.
Ms. Brown. Ms. Stevens.
Present.
Ms. Simon. Ms. Baker.
Here.
Mr. Miller.
Present.
Mr. Tuma.
Here.
Mr. Gallagher.
Here.
Mr. Schron.
Here.
Council President Brady.
Present.
You have a quorum.
All right. Pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Under silent meditation, I would like to take a minute or two to remember the passing of the former President of the United States, George H.W. Bush. All right, thank you very much. All right, we're going to go into the public comment part of the meeting. I want to welcome everybody to the County Council. Thank you for your attendance today and participation in this evening's meeting. I can assure you the Council shares your concerns, and we are actively working on getting issues in the jail fixed. Council's role is to make sure that we have the resources to address the problems, and Council has informed the administration we are ready and willing to do that. Council will be waiting for the administration on what it will take in terms of personnel and financial resources to provide humane treatment to our inmates. We agree this is not a tolerable situation. Council looks forward to hearing you today. Please be mindful of the 3-minute limit so we can hear from all those who took time to attend. Please be respectful in your remarks. Again, we thank you for your participation in today's council meeting. Madam Clerk.
Mr. President, as we have around 30-something persons who wish to address council this evening, if I may implement our procedure where I call up 3 individuals at a time. I've already addressed the public and told them what the procedure was going to be, so if you're okay with that.
Okay.
All right, the first 3 persons, Avery Martins, Molly Nagin, and Keith Wilson. The first person will come up to the podium, Avery Martins. And if the other 2 would just kind of come up in the middle, and when it's your time to speak, then just go right up to the podium. Thank you.
So we have a number of demands that have come out of the community, and I'm going to speak specifically on bail reform. I also just want to say that these have been issues that have been going on for years in the county jail, and they are of no surprise to anyone. So this is not something that just came to light. It's something that's been had a lack of action on it for a very, very long time. So I'm part of a coalition of community members and organizations, and one of our many demands, we have 6, speaks to bail reform. There be urgent, and this has 3 pieces. There be urgent action on bail reform, swift implementation of bail reform. We demand the release for all inmates held pre-trial for low-level, nonviolent offenses. This use of pretrial detention should be severely limited, and if deemed necessary, a recorded justification for imposing any bail must be met and available to the public upon request. Release all those charged with low-level, nonviolent offenses. This speaks to the issue of overcrowding that's constantly used as more of an excuse than something that's seen as a responsibility that can be taken action on. And this is one way to do that. There needs to be documented justification for imposing bail and the end the use of pretrial detention. We have people that have been in county jail for over a year who have not even been charged with or have not even been convicted of a crime in the eyes of the law. They are innocent. And are still suffering in completely inhumane and deplorable conditions. There be data collection, reporting, and transparency, a thorough and updated collection of pretrial case information and jail conditions report be made available to the public. Data collected should include conditions of bail, conditions of jail operations, demographic information, including race, gender, and LGBTQ status, length of time spent in the county jail prior to release, current risk assessment scores and evaluation, compliance with conditions of bail, and eventual case outcomes. Data collection, reporting, and transparency related to pretrial information and documented accountability. Lastly, with bail, there needs to be an independent oversight and accountability for the Criminal Justice Reform Task Force. The Criminal Justice Reform Task Force failed to propose a timeline on promised reforms to the county's bail system, nor included the communities most impacted by the criminal justice system in the decision-making process. We demand this task force propose a timeline and agree to independent oversight governed and led by a committee of affected community members. There be a timeline to implement criminal justice reform and establish an independent community-led oversight committee. I'll turn in these remarks so you can take a closer look.
Good evening. This testimony was written by Abby Scully, a registered nurse at Cleveland Clinic and organizer for the Democratic Socialist Association, and by myself, Molly Nagin, licensed massage therapist and organizer with the Young Communist League and the Tamir E. Rice Foundation. Do you know what it's like to feel you are hunted down by the police, and then if you survive, you're locked up and traumatized for an unknown long time? I imagine you don't know. End police brutality now. End police brutality now. Do you know what it's like to see your community disappear behind bars, losing their 13th Amendment right to freedom from slavery? I imagine you do not. End mass incarceration now. Your choices directly impact people's lives and generations of the struggle for freedom and human rights. If you want change as much as we all do, but you're avoiding trouble, well, then you can forget it. You all have tools to fix this problem, but it won't be easy. Neglect, however, is as criminal as a vermin-infested public kitchen. It's more criminal. Diabetic denied insulin for 4 days. People denied toilet paper and toothbrushes. People required to sleep on the floor, but feces are left on the floor, so people are sleeping while standing up. Mental illness is denied medical attention, even when folks are in isolation. And then the medical staff lacks proper licenses to provide treatment. This council is accountable for allowing this facility to be run into the ground. While all of you are busy pointing fingers, at least 7 people have died since June. You knew and you did nothing. You knew and you did nothing. Do not waste our time and our money fighting impending lawsuits from the Food and Drug Administration, civil class actions. What do you want? A systemic hiring, training, and protocol overhaul needs to be done immediately, but who is taking leadership for that? And lastly, to address the obviously corrupt practice of overcrowding. I joined Judge Michael Nelson's long ago call for bail reform now.
Folks, listen, I know everybody's very passionate here, of course. There are a lot of us, and we're going to handle this the same way we've handled all meetings that we've had lots of people here, and that's we want you to refrain from the clapping and the noise because we've got a lot of people to hear, and we need to just listen to each other and be respectful of each other.
Hi, my name is Keith Wilson. I'm a member of the coalition to fight. I'm a member of the coalition to fight the inhumanity. Still no good? I'll lean over. So there's a coalition of 13 groups that came together out of outrage for what we've heard about going on in the county jail. We all have important work going on, but we came together. I'm a member of a few of the groups, including Puncture the Silence and the Cuyahoga County Progressive Caucus. I have here a statement from the Northeast Ohio Black Health Coalition and the executive director, Ivanka Hall. She wanted to address the issue of juvenile incarceration. The Northeast Ohio Black Health Coalition stands with Puncture the Silence and other community groups to protest the recent deaths and unsanitary conditions and atrocities going on at the Cuyahoga County Jail. As an organization that works to address disparities in education, employment, housing, and health by working to educate, advocate for, and empower the community, it is imperative that we speak to the deplorable conditions at the Cuyahoga County Jail. As an organization that includes mothers, fathers, grandmothers, grandfathers, aunts, uncles, and activists, that we are outraged by all that is happening at our correctional facility. We are here because our outrage has turned into action. As an organization that focuses on health disparities, the safety of vulnerable populations is our #1 priority. We know that these problems are not new, so having Cuyahoga County say change takes time is a slap in the face to the families that have been asking for change long before now. I'm going to skip to the end, but I have copies of all of these for each of you. We have to do better. The Northeast Ohio Black Health Coalition is asking the Cuyahoga County Executive, Armin Budish, the Cuyahoga County Council, and our judicial officers to ensure the safety of juvenile inmates that are housed in our facilities. What happens to youth over a lifetime that have been abused while being housed with adults, denied basic human rights, denied access to food that they need for the development of their brains? We have to do better. We must do better as a community. We must do better to protect our children. The Northeast Ohio Black Health Coalition stands with other organizations today as we ask for changes. We ask for all of the conditions that have been exposed to be addressed immediately. These are not just civil rights violations, these are violations of basic human rights, and we demand accountability on the part of Cuyahoga County officials. Thank you.
Mr. Wilson, if you'll hand those to me, I'll make sure they get passed out. The next 3 speakers, Lori Albright, Kareem Henton, and Bill Swain.
Good evening, dear councilpersons, executive director, and staff. My name is Lori Albright. I'm also part of the coalition affiliated with Puncture the Silence. I live in University Heights. I'm a licensed mental health provider, and I work in the public schools. I am very distressed at how the county jail is being run. The inhumane treatment of people placed there is being done in my name as a resident, and it is far from anything I can personally condone. I consider the conditions and the treatment of the people in the jail to be cruel based on the information from the plain dealer, the federal marshal's report, and individual reports of people who've been in the jail. I wish to focus on the issue of people with mental health concerns. As Mr. Budish and many others know, due in part to the extremely poor funding for mental health and addiction services in our state, our jails and prisons are by default the largest provider of mental health services. There are 10 times as many people with mental illness in Ohio's prisons and jails than in our 6 psychiatric hospitals. Estimates for Ohio jails are that about 1/3 of the population have serious mental health concerns. The environment is the opposite of everything I know about how to meet the needs of those individuals. Many of us are familiar with blood pressure medications, and we know that a sudden stop can result in dangerous spikes in blood pressure, which can result in heart attacks, strokes, and death. Not everyone knows that medications for mental health are very similar. It can be very dangerous for those medications to be stopped suddenly. Last Tuesday, excuse me, I attended the Cuyahoga County Public Safety and Justice Affairs Committee meeting. In the public comment section, I listened as a mother spoke of doing everything she could to advocate for her adult son, who had been returned to jail for a parole violation for alcohol. It took 32 days before he was given his medications and had yet to see a doctor. With electronic records, there should be no reason a mother should have to call and visit every person she can think of for a month in order for her loved one to get the medications he needs to support his stability. 55 suicide attempts in the jail in the last year is but one indicator of the consequence of this injustice. Assessment upon admission and continuation of necessary mental health treatment makes the jail safer for the person, for the staff, and for the community, the whole community, because current detainees will be returned home, but in bad condition, exacerbated by their experience in the jail. If the county is going to run a jail, it needs to be safe, run by individuals who have the background and commitment to safety. As an important long-term solution would be the establishment of a couple of 24/7 crisis mental health facilities instead of jail for those so affected. I understand that developing a better system will take time, but what are you going to do to ensure the safety in the interim? Perhaps judges can review people they have placed there for nonviolent charges and release them immediately.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Kareem Hinton. I'm with an organization. I'm an organizer with Black Lives Matter Cleveland. I came here because I wanted to give perhaps a differing perspective or slightly differing perspective, and I don't want to rehash what's been said already and will be said later. Cuyahoga County, as well as Cuyahoga County Executive Armand Budish, have executed a hasty response to absolve themselves of responsibility and seem proactive by throwing Warden Eric Ivey and the sheriff under the bus. It's because of your appointment. It's because of your appointment and rubber stamp that Clifford Pinckney serves as sheriff. And the Public Safety Committee, who comprise of Chairperson Michael Gallagher, Vice Chair David Greenspan, and Member Sonny Simon. And let's not leave out the federal oversight from the U.S. Marshals under Pete Elliott. They have allowed these conditions to continue. I implore council not to think renovations and some new words in regulation or policy handbook signify change. In essence, by not addressing the culture of jailers, you are only putting makeup on a pig or a fresh coat of paint on a junk car. So please don't sell us a lemon or think that we want to kiss your pig. Address the culture as a whole that beats up inmates, neglects medical needs, sanctions fights, particularly in our juvenile justice center, and purposely dehumanizes people in their care. Remind jailers and yourselves that prisoners are innocent until proven guilty. And the Eighth Amendment that addresses cruel and unusual punishment here is especially egregious when people have not been convicted of a crime and when the abuses are perpetrated against our youth. So I ask that you please address the culture by enforcing stiff penalties, by ensuring staff is extensively trained to particularly deal with youth's mental and rehabilitative needs, and also with people in general under your care when they are in crisis. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Bill Swain, active in Refuse Fascism. Fought against police brutality for years. The Cuyahoga County Jail continues to house about 2420 people, twice the number of people that should be there. Overcrowding is just one of the many abuses and neglectful things that go on there on a daily basis. This condition has led to pregnant women sleeping on the floor, as well as many other people doing the same to avoid lying on filthy sheets. Other women never went to bed, not because they were afraid of other prisoners, but because they were afraid of guards. Cells holding those willing to go to court should house only 2 people, but now houses 12 for up to 10 hours without access to toilets or running water. Overcrowding is just one of the many abuses in the jail, and it must stop now. The county commissioner, Mr. Budish, just has been saying that that the prison situation is not drastically terrible. He says that the CDRC has given Cleveland, the county, a good rating. That's outrageous that he would even speak to that. You have men in black, the stormtroopers of today. What has changed since Sean Levert got killed? Because he was killed. He was asking for Xanax, and they wouldn't give it to him, and he died. So he was killed among the other 6 and 7. It says it all about a system when Budish says no problem, that the whoever it is, the ODRC gave it high rating. This is all part of the system of capitalism, imperialism, where people and their lives mean nothing, whether they live in Iraq, whether they live in El Salvador, wherever they live. The U.S. has no respect for the lives of the masses, and it's true here, right here in this prison situation. I think people need to fight to build a movement for revolution, to get rid of the system under the leadership of Bob Avakian, leader of this revolution. And people should, I'm not saying it was a great speech, but people should clap when people are saying the right things. Take care.
The next 3 speakers, Corinne Stevenson, Audrey Morris, and Gwendolyn Pitts.
Good afternoon, Cuyahoga County Council and Administrator Budish. My name is Corinne Stevenson. My issue today, the most prevalent issue I have, is the juveniles who are locked away in the county jail. The county jail fails the litmus test of sight and sound when it comes to Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Act of 1974. The design of the jail won't allow for juveniles to be locked away from sight and sound of adults. The jail is not a standalone institution. It's part of a criminal justice system. As such, we must address the ills of the entire system or risk failure again. If we fail to address all of the input points into the jail, the courts, cities, towns, and villages, probation and parole, we fail again. The last time we failed ourselves was in the 80s, when in 1987, as the assistant manager of the jail, it took us 2 years to clean it up. The ACA is the best entity to address the needs of a jail. However, addressing all of the culprits in the jail system, if we don't address those culprits, we will likely bring us back here again in 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council, County Executive. My name is Audrey Morris. I'm the co-president of the League of Women Voters, and I'm here tonight to speak to you about the suggestion made by council that the sheriff be elected and not appointed. I hope you all got my the League letter. I'd like to read from it. The League of Women Voters strongly urges that council members not propose a charter amendment that would change the appointive office of the county sheriff to an elective office. Making the sheriff's office independent of the executive branch of county government would not automatically end problems at the county jail, and it would contradict one of the main principles of our new charter government, clear lines of responsibility and accountability. To elaborate, 1, council would lose the power to confirm a sheriff nominee. The elected county executive would lose the power to oversee that department's operations or to replace its leadership if necessary. Removing an errant or neglectful sheriff or administrator would likely require impeachment, indictment, or enough patience to wait for the next partisan primary election. 2, an elected sheriff would likely be a politically selected and endorsed official running in an uncompetitive or unopposed general election where he or she would have to seek locally influential backers and campaign contributions. Standards and qualifications would not count. After the first 4-year term, the likelihood of repeated unchallenged re-election is huge. 3, an independent sheriff's office could bring with it an independent employment system, read patronage and cronyism, and a large county workforce that would not be subject to the strong new county ethics provisions in the county code. Other uniform administrative tools might also be lost over time. The League of Women Voters urges you not to consider returning the office of the sheriff to the political arena. Electing the sheriff would be a step back in the wrong direction and would solve nothing. Thank you.
My name is Minister Gwendolyn Pitts. I respectfully address our Cuyahoga County Council. I speak to the religious freedom of every inmate. They should have religious counsel on a daily basis and a Bible. Basic legal rights to have a phone call immediately upon arrest so their families know where they are, not detained for 2 hours, 2 days, or a week. Guidance of juvenile inmates so that young people will have someone to lead them in the right direction. Retraining and follow-up of inmates long term, from the time they're incarcerated to the time they're out, so they're on the right track. Decent food and water so that their mind remains straight. Giving better alternatives, such as work alternative, schooling alternative, and mentorship. Continue family and children's services so that their families have a roof over their head and money for food. Work release program, where once upon training, while incarcerated, they will have ability to earn money for their families. Continue reentry program so that when they are released, they have a place to stay, they have a work per place to go, and this will continue after 90 days. There's a 90-day program, but what happens after the 90 days? We need to have a program so that they can turn their lives around and be better citizens. We need to have family group therapy for the whole family, from generation to generation. Some people's families continue the same problems from generation to generation, and that needs to stop. They need help. Inmates need proper representation, social workers, hospital care, mental and physical and emotional care and advocacy. And as suggested, will County Council put this on the ballot for the people to vote for change?
Thank you.
The next three speakers are Peter Corrigan, Donna Brown, and Zach Reed.
Please come forward.
Hi, thanks everybody for the opportunity to speak. I have 2 points to make that are somewhat different from what the points everyone else are going to make. The first is considering the makeup of the group behind me. I'm speaking for bipartisanship in this. And Mr. Brady, the election's over. You can't throw me out for politicking. But I will say the vast majority of the people behind me did not vote for me. I want to explain to you that the issues that we're seeing are neither Republican nor Democrat. They're neither conservative nor liberal. They are an issue of humanity, and they need to be addressed. The second issue is the issue of humanity and management. My career, I spent many years managing many individuals, well into the thousands. The golden rule of management is if an individual is harmed in your employ or hurt, everything stops until the individual is taken care of or the processes or procedures that cause that individual to be harmed are taken care of. There's a sense of urgency in management, at least in the business world, to take care of these issues as fast as possible. In the issue of the county jail, I don't see that happening. I don't see the urgency. Assembling a panel or assembling consulting or assembling outside external people to come in and look at the issue is only going to delay the problems further and continue to keep people at risk. I would suggest when people's lives are at risk, the urgency to act is immediate. It's now, it's this week, it's tomorrow, it's today, it's tonight, to take care of those issues which put people in peril. And I'll let the rest of the group and their comments talk about all the different things that can happen. I'm not here to lecture on those, but I am here to lecture you on the fact that this is a bipartisan issue, and the fact that urgency needs to be taken immediately now. Thanks.
Thank you.
You know it ain't good when I'm here. First of all, I want you guys to know that you are not his cheerleading squad. Y'all was put in place for the checks and balances, and that's the oath that you guys took. And right here lately, you haven't been holding up your part. I asked you guys to go back in another meeting. You was quick to tell me y'all done had a lot of meetings. I asked you guys to go back in another meeting and reverse what he done far as regionalizing these corrections facilities. That's something that you can do. I'm not emotional. This is fact. You guys are the checks and balances. You're not his cheerleading squad. So that's what I'm asking you guys, because I looked at an article that said you fired a correctional officer for an inmate ODing. I've been out here since Anaya Day Garrett died, and no one has talked about firing the social workers who these dead babies are coming up under. And that's a problem. And I'm going to continue to come back. And eventually I'm going to get these people that are behind me to come with me to talk about the social worker being fired when babies are dying up under their watch and they're in children protective services. But if you want to actually do something and actually be able to hold your head up, then you reverse this regionalism with these correction facilities. Right now, Euclid can't house their own offenders because they're doing a program that he's instituted. 6 months ago, we had what? We didn't have 6 inmates or 7 inmates dead. So apparently what he's done is not working. And at some point, you guys have to stop worrying about being politically correct, and you have to do the right thing, because the charter that you took, the oath that you took, said you would be the checks and balances to him. And right now you're doing a poor job.
Good afternoon, County Council and Executive Director. My name is Zachary Reed, and I'm here today to say, first of all, I do not understand how Ken Mills, the former director, has not been brought up on charges for those 7 people that have been killed. Secondly, I'm here because last week we sat in Mount Sinai Baptist Church on Woodland Avenue, and NAACP and others, we talked about this issue of the jail. And there were several individuals who stepped forward. But at the end, there was an attorney by the name of Sarah, and I don't want to mess up her last name. But she spoke of the women. So with all due respect to my men that are sitting up here, I'm going to speak directly to our women. Because she told us horror stories that I think you need to hear and maybe you have not heard. Because I really, truly think you believe that this situation is because there are young black men that are in that jail, and therefore we can look the other way. But she told us a horror story of our women. Women who can't get tampons or pads, so therefore they bleed. Women who can't even be able to wash their panties, so therefore they have to keep their same panties with the blood on them. Women who can't get bras to have dignity because of their breast. I'm looking at you women because these are our mothers. These are our sisters. This is my niece. These are women who may have made a mistake like I made a mistake one day and went to jail and had to come back out. They do not deserve to be treated the way they're being treated in that jail today, ladies. And if our men don't want to do something about it, I'm asking you. Think about if you made a mistake one day and you found yourself in that jail. And the dignity was taken away from you simply because you're a woman. So I come to you today on behalf of my mom, my future wife, my niece, and all the women that have found themselves in a situation that they wish that have never found themselves in. If you're not going to stand up for the others, at least stand up for our women, please.
The next 3 speakers, I apologize, I don't know what the first name is, Ms. or Mr. Mays. And when you come up to the podium, if you could spell that for me, please. Brenda Adrien and William Clarence Marshall. Thank you.
Hello? All right, yeah, my name's Tasman Mays, and it's Tasmone. Is that cool? All right. I would like to thank Cuyahoga County Council for the opportunity to present the concerns of the Cleveland Lead Safe Network in regards to the county's detention facilities. The connection between childhood lead poisoning and criminal activity is so well established that the subject has its own Wikipedia articles, the lead crime hypothesis, and the principle is simple to state. Restrictions on lead in paint and gasoline in the 1970s positively correlates with a decline in crime beginning in the 1990s. The generation that followed the lead reduction efforts. Man, this is really close. All right. While great strides were made in the 1970s, progress on lead hazard reduction ground to a halt in the 1990s. What we now know is that lead never goes away. Today's generation of inner-city children are still inhaling and imbibing lead from deteriorated paint, from soil on vacant lots, and old industrial sites and from degraded pumping. Cleveland poisons children at twice the rate as Flint, Michigan. A 2017 article by Dr. Pitaro, faculty member in the criminal justice at American Military University, states, lead and other environmental contaminants increase the probability that individuals lose their capacity for impulse control, which can contribute to increased rates of crime and patterns of school dropout, family disintegration, and unemployment. It is widely accepted among criminal justice practitioners and scholars that one of the single most important factors associated with criminal offending is the offender's ability to maintain self-control. The inability to delay gratification is common both amongst juvenile offenders and adult offenders. Impulse control can be viewed as a psychological disorder in which an individual cannot resist an impulse to behave in a certain way even when they know that the behavior is socially unacceptable or illegal. Cleveland-led Safe Network joins the other citizen-based organizations here today to call upon the County Council and County Exec to make a commitment to heal the victims of childhood lead poisoning who have gone on to antisocial and criminal behaviors. In particular, we urge a closer look at ways in which medical and psychological interventions can overcome the impacts of childhood lead poisoning. Freddie Gray's death at the hands of the Baltimore Police Department is a classic example of how a citizen who, as a child, was ravaged by lead poisoning fell victim to an insensitive criminal justice system. And the last point, since 2016, Cleveland-led Safe Network has been leading the way towards elimination of lead hazards in rental housing in Cleveland. Instead of using children as lead hazard detectors, Cleveland and Cuyahoga County have an obligation to keep environmental lead out of the bodies of our children. The savings in healthcare, educational remediation, and public safety expenditures far outweigh the modest cost of interim controls of lead hazards in our homes. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Brenda Adrian, and I'm with Refuse Fascism, and I thank you for the chance to speak this evening. After reading an article on Cleveland.com, I was at the point of tears. That article stated that Cuyahoga County fails to provide jail inmates with the basic necessities they need to live. I saw where they were being denied food and water, toothbrushes and toothpaste and toilet paper. And it broke my heart. The jail investigation comes after the deaths of 7 inmates between June 10th and October 2nd. 3 of those inmates committed suicide. And there was another 55 other inmates that tried to take their own lives. Shouldn't this be something that would grab your attention? Isn't this something that would tell you that there's something wrong in this system? It reminds me of number 45's speaking to an audience of police. He encouraged them to brutalize suspects, celebrating how suspects are frequently thrown in roughly into paddy wagons. And he said, please, don't be too nice. Since when did innocent until proven guilty stop? When are we going to learn that we are all God's children and that I am my brother's, my sister's keeper? Pregnant women should not be made to sleep on a floor. People should have the right, the civil right, the human right, to be treated as human beings. And that's not what's happening in Cuyahoga County Jail. Mr. Budish, You asked for the marshals to review these deaths. Your top official, Ken Mills, resigned last week before the report came out. And what does that tell us? And again, I say, we are all God's children.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is William Clarence Marshall, current president of the Carl Stokes Brigade, coming before you today on behalf of the officers and membership. Recently, we have been made acutely aware through media disclosure and public testimony at a forum held by the Cleveland NAACP on the deplorable conditions under which inmates and staff reside in the Cuyahoga County jail system. With the disclosure of 7 jail deaths within the last 6 months, the U.S. Marshal reports an additional 50 attempted suicides. The jail is a social environment built out of a nightmare. United States Marshals have revealed major system-wide failures in all areas of social control, in addition to violations of due process and equal protection under the law. The jail has been designated dangerous in relation to personal safety and treatment, food safety, with maggots, worms, and dead animals, feces and urine, poor sanitation, denial of toothbrushes, toothpaste, and toilet paper. There is physical retaliation from guards, 119 rapes, severe overcrowding, chronic understaffing, denial of medication, clean water, proper security protocols, and treatment. Additionally, the use of cruel and unusual punishment, with inmates being forcibly locked down for as long as 23 hours per day in solitary isolation units. 12 men locked in a cell built for 2, in addition to inmates affected by opioid and psychotropic drugs, are clear systemic violations of constitutional, ethics, civil, and human rights. Internal changes in administration and management must be made, and change must be swift. For Gregory Fox, 36, United States veteran Joseph Arquillo, 47, Randy Kane, 46, Esteban Parra, and Larry Johnson, change was not swift enough. We stand in solidarity with the NAACP, CARE, Puncture the Silence, and other coalition organizations. Changes must be made. Fix it now.
The next 3 speakers are Jeff Mixon, Ms. Liu, and Cecil Fluker.
Hello. Jeff Mixon from Black Lives Matter in Cuyahoga County. On the issue of inhumane jail conditions, the buck has to stop with the 2 people in Cuyahoga County who exercise the most control over who we elect as judges, who runs our jails, and who we elect to improve the conditions in our communities. Congresswoman Marsha Fudge and County Executive Armin Budish control the endorsement process in Cuyahoga County. When the politicians get drunk at the Cuyahoga County Democratic Party events, we start to hear stories about pay-to-play Fudge and pay-to-play Budish. My question is, how do we initiate an investigation to determine whether the Cuyahoga County endorsement process plays a role in perpetuating a predatory criminal justice system? Now, I remind myself all the time, because I have my mother's way with words. So I remind myself all the time that the truth without love is brutality. So I'm not coming up here to be nasty. I'm coming up here to speak because I'm looking at a bunch of people and I really don't think much of your character. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not saying I think you're a bad person, Mr. Budish. You just don't have the type of person to lead a community like mine. You don't have the type of character to protect a young girl like Anaya Garrett. You don't have the type of character to care about the people who are in the county jails who are dying and committing suicide. It's obvious you don't, because you haven't done anything about it. It's really nice that you got all those black ministers who live in the suburbs who really don't care either to endorse us, but to endorse you all. But let me tell you this much, and I'm going to leave after this. I believe what's going on in Cuyahoga County is a problem of character, and I believe it started when corporate Cleveland, who controls the endorsement process, started intentionally putting what we call house Negroes, and some of them are black and some of them are white. They started propping them up as our leaders, and now we're stuck with you, and we have all these problems to deal with, and you are the people that we have to solve these problems. And guess what? Look what's been happening as long as we depend on you to solve the problems. So I think there's going to be two things that happens. I think either some people, and Chantel Brown, let me say, I was proud when the first African-American woman was put in charge of the Cuyahoga County Democratic Party. I don't think you're a bad person. I just don't think you're a leader. And we need a leader right now. So I think two things are going to happen. Either there's going to have to be some amazing transformations in character like I've never seen before, or we're going to have to vote you all out of office. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
All right. Okay. All right. Now, let's just get this straight. There is a place to say whatever you want to say, and this is it. This is one of the biggest public forums. It probably is the biggest public forum in the county. But we are not going to make statements that are so far over the top that they're not appropriate in a public meeting like this. If you want to have a town hall, have a town hall. This is a council meeting, and you have to respect the people that you're talking to and each other, because this is a council meeting. We are going to maintain decorum. We're going to maintain decorum. That's the way it's going to be. We know why you're here, so don't listen. Listen, I've been through this thing a million times. Who's next? Who's next?
Miss Lou.
Who's next? This is not a public forum. You don't have the right to speak. Respect the speaker, okay?
Respect what I'm saying too, sir. But you need to start yelling and screaming.
Then you should have signed up for public comments yourself.
No, why I have to go through diplomatic process when they violate the law? Right. No, I'm not required to do that. You don't.
All right. All right.
Good evening. The topic will be slightly changed since I'm not getting any taller anyway. I think the whole problems we have here actually started a long time ago. Probably, I would say 4 or 5 decades ago. That's how they started. All the problems. Doesn't matter if a social worker could not protect children, or people put in the jail not to be getting the proper care. I've been coming here for what? All the description you guys just described here, today we can hear. They have been happening in homeless shelter for a long time too. Especially what Mr. Reed mentioned, Zachary Reed, whatever you mentioned, that's on the women's shelter every day. So, it's not only the people in the jail having this problem, people staying in the homeless shelter getting the same trouble too. Nowadays we know, Adams already told us, in this country, every 1 out of 3 having severe mental health issues. But that doesn't mean the other 3 will completely be free of any issues. So people have mild problems, medium problems, and severe problems. Doesn't matter where they go. if other people don't put this in awareness, don't put this into practice, all these problems will happen everywhere. Next time, it could be senior center. Do we want our seniors to get on the same situation? At this moment, at the women's shelter, for the single adults, we have a pregnant people not getting food, not getting proper hygiene items. Same, just like jails. Even though it doesn't carry the name as a jail. People stay at this particular shelter actually name this place as Normal Hell. H-E-L-L. The problem here is, economy has been bad. The government does not have enough funding to correct all the problems all at the same time. Yes, we could not wait because people's lives are matters. Not only black people's life matters, Caucasian people's life matters too. People in the jails, their lives are matters. Homeless people's life seems like not matters. Everybody coming here for people in the jail. How about the people before they go to jail or after they get out of jail when they are in the homeless places? Same thing. Sometimes we do need to endure the horrible moments in order to get a bright light. The problem did not start only with this gentleman or all 11 here. I believe they have the heart trying to solve the problems. However, we are running out of time. We need help faster. Please, one gentleman really recommended changing the culture in the bureaucracy is essential. Please do that. I still believe you guys are the heroes without capes and masks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
How y'all doing? My name is Cecil Fluker, and I just like to look at everybody for a second, because some of y'all are very familiar and y'all know me. We ain't gonna put no names out there, but I do know the ones that are gonna do their job already and the ones who ain't. And you could tell because when you're in school and you jot down, and the teacher talking, you jot down information. A lot of y'all just looking and listening. Y'all ain't jotting down nothing y'all gonna change. But you know what? Let me tell you something. I was a victim in there, okay? This may be a joke to you, but it's a lot of people that care about me and my family. And I'm part of the reason why this is going on. I almost died in that county, okay? Nobody no angel. Everybody falls short. Let's get that together here, okay? And I'm not here to bash nobody. But I almost died, and I have children. I was just scared for myself, period, okay? I'm eating contaminated food off contaminated molded trays. Stuff that the warden, Ivy, you know, the one with the suits, spending all the money on the suits, you know, that never want to come check on people. And all these paperwork I sent out to Obama, to the White House, to the health department, from in jail, papers I had to hide inside my pants, you know, washing up in this water, breaking up in red bumps, passing out. Blood pressure went so high, they said you could have died, see? So I said, wow, I felt, I didn't even know what happened. CO see me laying on the floor, they trying to cover it up. They denied me medical. I didn't see help till the next day. And then people so scared to ask for help because it cost $3. They so broke, man. Don't y'all see what y'all doing? I had to spend my $3 because y'all was taking it from so many other things that y'all asking for. What does it cost, rent to go to jail now? Help us. I'm not here to bash you and start the Crips and Bloods to follow you home. I'm not here to do that. We all go home to a family. Somebody going home to get in their car, somebody catching the bus, you know, somebody going to get dressed, somebody's going to sleep. We're all doing the same thing. Let's look out for each other, man. Let's make a change, all right? I hope y'all don't have to see me in there no more. I'm no angel. I was falsely arrested. All this about to come out. They didn't do nothing right. Help us. Help the people who really want help. We know who the criminals is, even the criminals. We know who the criminals are. Just like you guys. But don't be a criminal yourself. Don't have blood on your hands. My blood could have been on y'all hands, and y'all probably never even met me. Look at these tapes. Look at this footage. Look at the news. You guys could lose your job, possibly go to jail. You don't know what investigators or people are on you guys now because of their faults. Pay attention. Don't lose your family. Help others to keep yours. That's how we all keep everything in the cycle going. You know, do y'all understand that life is so short that just like that?
It was good. Thank you.
The next three speakers are Marva Patterson, Fred Bankley, and Jackie Jackson. Apologize if I have not said those correctly.
Good evening, everyone. Wow, coming on the heels of that. How about now? Is that better? What'd you say? Okay, I'm sorry about that. You know, blessings to all of you. And following what was just said just this moment, you know, I think we all need to take a moment and thank God for giving us our lives. Because our lives is about ensuring the protections for others, especially when you hold seats such as yours. I am very saddened to hear about some of the conditions in the jail, but it's nothing new. We've spoken about this for years. But at this point, something really has to be done. You need a timeline. You need to set yourselves a calendar, a clock, to make sure that policies or whatever you need to do to put in place to ensure the safety and those conditions are better for these inmates. It has to be done. You cannot linger anymore. God does not linger. And as a Christian community activist and a member of the Carl Stokes Brigade, my heart goes out to you because I do understand it's very difficult, the seats that you hold. But as it was said earlier, you were voted in. What you said to those who voted for you was you would uphold that Constitution and you would protect them. And you would protect the interest and the value of our families. So we are asking, maybe demanding, that you uphold those laws, you uphold that Constitution, and you do the right thing. I was pretty much stunned, too, as it relates to Sean Levert. I was just torn up when I heard about his death, and I read the story that was actually written in the Cleveland Plain Dealer. It was written November 11th, 2008. Now, that's 10 years ago. We're still going through the same issues in this court system and also in the jail. But what it says was Sean Levert denied medication, hallucinated for hours before he died in jail. R&B singer Sean Levert entered the Cuyahoga County Jail on March 24th, clutching the prescribed medication he took regularly for anxiety. Jail staff took the bottle of Xanax away from him and failed to give him a single pill during the 6 days he was there, investigators said. Even when he began suffering horrifying delusions, he wasn't given his medication and never saw a doctor. Instead, on March 30th, jailers strapped Levert into a restraint chair, still fighting the monstrous visions in his head caused by withdrawal from the medication. Minutes later, the 39-year-old son of O.J. star Eddie Levert stopped breathing. His heart then stopped, and doctors couldn't save him. We're still dealing with these issues today. This was 2008. So again, I implore you, please do something now. Thank you.
Good evening, Cleveland City Council. My name is Fred Barkley. This is my first time ever speaking before this council. And I am here just as a very, very concerned citizen who fortunately has never been inside one of these county jails, but I have been in jail before. And as I've heard everyone speak, as I've heard those who have voiced their outrage, their concern, I was even more concerned that your desire is that we tone it down instead of turn it up.
My outrage and my concern is that you want us to be civil, but the conditions in those jails are barbaric. I do not understand how you can sit there making the amount of money that you make, having the lives that you have, knowing that when you go home tonight, there are those who are just a few feet away. I don't know where the location of the jail is, but I don't think it's that far from here, but not too very far from where you earn incredible amounts of money for what you do. There are going to be those who are going to be dying in their own feces tonight. I don't understand how, as a person, that right now, even as we're talking, as you see the building outrage of all of us, that something doesn't snap, something doesn't click inside of you, and you start to get on that phone right now, and you start getting food trucks and medical whatever is needed to begin sweeping changes in these jails. I do not understand how you can sit there and just be so unempathetic. I'm at a loss for words. And I know that the blood that beats red in my body also beats red in yours. I do not believe that this is not impactful to you, that this is not really, it should be crushing your spirit in a way where after today, we see change now happening in this Cuyahoga County Jail. We don't have to wait for an investigation. We don't have to wait for a series of reports. We are going to understand that tonight, tomorrow, that change has come, that people are now getting at least a start of what they need so that hopefully they can make it out of this horrific experience alive. Because there are many apparently who have not. And I know I have covered and filmed actually Chantel Brown. I think that she's an amazing woman. I think she has a heart. Well, all of you need to have a heart, and we need to see it now. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jacqueline Jackson. My nephew, Robert Sharp, died March 26, 2015 of a drug overdose in the county. The county don't want to be liable, but he didn't bring the drugs in there. The drugs were already in there, okay? A lot of things they blacked out in his file, and it's a lot of unanswered questions that I have. Why would you take a magic marker and mark out certain things in his file? Is that because you didn't want the family to know, or was it just you was hiding something? As far as Marcus Harris, the nurse, they sent him down for a CAT x-ray, but they refused to send him out to the hospital, which he should have had a CAT scan done, but they refused to send him out. And they sent him to the hole to die. And this is his children's mother. You can introduce yourself.
I'm Tiante Blackman, and this is my son, Jamarion Sharp.
And so now he has to be raised without a father because of somebody else's negligence. So I'm doing basically the best that I can as far as raising him. But if they only had took him out, sent him out to the hospital to get a CAT scan, then they would have seen what the problem was because they already knew. But they don't want to be liable. But in the real world, they are liable. So you really don't know how it feels until you've lost a family member. Then you will know. And it's a hurting feeling, and it's a pain that never goes away. And I'm standing in the gap. I'm standing in the gap for his children. He has 5 children, and I'm standing in the gap for all of them. And I've been praying. You just don't know how hard I've been praying. And they never thought that this would come out, but it's finally revealed itself. And I just thank God for that, and I thank you.
Thank you.
The next three speakers are Michael Africa, Francis Caldwell, and Dana Ward.
Good evening. And my name is Michael Africa. And I would like to say, first of all, I'm a veteran soldier, but before you clap, not in a conventional sense. I was a black nationalist, 13 years old, on the Harley Jones, and have been fighting these forces. Sunday, a couple Sundays back, pastor asked everybody to stand up that was soldiers. And I stood up, people that know me said, you ain't been at war. I've been warring over there on Superior Avenue since I was 12 years old. I want to say that. And then another thing, I hear the people coming up, I'm talking to you, I'm looking at you guys, but I'm talking to the people. People think they keep coming up and complaining about the county jail, prisons or whatever, until the people behind me understand that it ain't about Mr. Buddhist, Armin Buddhist, and it ain't about you guys. It's like doing Dred Scott, doing slavery, and the slavery, they took him before the Supreme Court, and they was begging, you know, for freedom or whatever, and they said he wasn't even a human being. It's like after 20 years, I did 20 years in that system for a petty drug case. I'm not complaining. What I'm saying is just like slavery. It's just new. Mr. Buddhist is head of that particular ship downtown. That's a way station to get mostly black people into that system in Ohio Penitentiary, the federal penitentiary, and all the rest of them. Show me a penitentiary, and I'll show you a factory with a bunch of black people working. And I'm going to tell you this, people say, it's white. It is. There's a few white guys. There's a few Spanish, but this system is designed for black people. Until y'all understand that it's about dollars. You understand? When they can give Mr. Gilbert, if I ain't got $20, I'm trying to get $100,000 from the county to keep the kitchen in Little Africa open, can't get it, but they get a basketball owner $30, $40 million to put signs up in the Browns. It says about money. So you guys got to understand, until you do like in Europe with the yellow vest, and you take it to the street, you ain't got to kill nobody, just like when I was in prison. You ain't got to kill nobody, you ain't got to riot, you ain't got to burn nothing. All you got to do is stop participating in the economic system. Just like in Montgomery during the bus boycott. All you do is stop participating. See, they're not going to let those inmates out of prison, out of county jail with them petty cases. See, you can collaborate with the Russians and be out on bond. But you cannot get out on bond from the county jail for child support. You follow what I'm saying? So until y'all put that together, you got to understand. You got to understand the difference, like crack, doing crack, my tribe with cocaine. When you got crack, you going to jail for life. You got opioids, you got the heroin, it's a health issue. Until you guys understand that, I'm going to respect and I have my notes here, but until you guys understand that this is about economics, and they're sending your children to them big old plantations down all over America, and now they privatize. You got to take it to the street and just stop doing everything. Until you're doing that, you ain't talking about nothing.
All right. Thank you.
Hey, everybody. I'm here to talk about a different subject. I'm here to ask the County Council to vote against R 2018-0248, which is number 5 in your handout, which is the sale of $12 million of delinquent taxes to the Fitch Group. If passed, this will go into effect immediately. And the reason I urge you to vote against this measure is, number one, when Rackauckus wrote the state laws to let third-party purchasers purchase delinquent taxes in 1997, it was created to streamline abandoned and vacant properties, not for occupied properties, which is what they're doing now. Between 1998 and 2005, more than 40,000 properties have been taken in Cuyahoga County. Western Reserve Conservancy report came out in July 2018 showing that 80% of the most recent 140,000 properties that were sold in the third-party tax sale were owned by Black people in Cleveland and surrounding suburbs. And finally, if this measure is passed, which will go into effect immediately, not only will the delinquent tax homeowners be charged 18% interest, which should be totally illegal. I mean, I don't understand how you can allow these third-party people to charge people who are struggling to pay their property taxes another 18%. That's like loan shark. And not only that, they will also, on top of the 18%, homeowners will also be charged administrative costs, and they also could be charged attorney costs. So you could see a person who's struggling to pay their delinquent taxes, once their property is sold to a third party, how will they ever get out of debt? They won't. And what's going to happen eventually, they're going to lose their home. And now we go back to homelessness. So it's like a vicious cycle. So I'm urging the county council to please, please vote no on our 2018-0248, which is number 5 on our brochure. Thank you.
Dana Ward, are you present? Okay, thank you. Well, the next 3 speakers are Fred Russell Bay, Spencer Wells, and Maya McCoy.
Good evening. I greet this governing body with the greeting of peace. Bear with me because I'm recovering from a stroke, but I'm not without words. I wondered how long it would be for this governing body to realize what's going on in this jail we're speaking of, along with other things. But I'm a witness to stand here and bear witness to the atrocities that I had been placed upon myself. I was brought to this jail through the refusal of Beechwood not wanting me in their jurisdiction for a 3-day sentence. I was brought here. I thought under the circumstances that I would be treated fairly and just. I was on the medications. I brought all my medications with me. But your jail refused to provide me the proper medication I had with me already to my person. They kept me from my necessary medications for over 2 days before I was served my medications the second day in the evening, almost midnight. I could have died. How many more people have to die in this jail? I almost died. I can witness that. But there are too many people losing their lives. We are a human race, not colored, not Caucasian, not Hispanic. We are human. Even though we are in that jail, we should be treated the same as a human being. it's not in my heart to disrespect you in any sense of the word, but it's in my heart to let you know that if I've suffered, how many more people have to suffer because of neglect and oversight by those people in charge of the jail. May God be with you all. I thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Maya McCoy. Thank you for allowing me to speak. It takes a lot for me to get in front of all these people. But after what I just experienced on the way here, on the way from Toledo, I had to speed all the way from Toledo. I was just on the phone with Martin Robinson when, before this, I called the investigative unit because I feel like they're falsifying the records on a docket. And they keep saying that there was some open hearing. There has not been any open court for him at all. He has never been allowed in the courtroom. They're just trying to take over his life. Basically, I complained to the sheriff, what's his name, Sheriff Williams on the phone, Sergeant Williams, and Sergeant Williams went and told the warden. So I'm on the phone with Martin Robinson. He said, hold on, the warden's here now. All of a sudden, I heard yelling and everything and tussling, and they hung the phone up. So I drove down to the Cuyahoga County Jail, and basically the warden locked the door. And the complaints that I were trying to fill out Friday that were in the warden office that I couldn't get to, now all of a sudden, now they're at the sheriff office again. I was denied complaint forms Friday, but now I can have complaint forms with the warden office locked, the one who just went up there and did something to Martin Robinson just now. So right now I'm upset because I don't know if he's okay. I don't know anything. I just know that the judge is falsifying documents. These judges knew about this since 2009. It was 40 people over in 2009. Why allow it to be more people over it? Why allow, why continue to have more inmates, It don't make sense. You were 40 over in 2009. Why would you go up over it? You knew about that before. And then just because they don't want to properly investigate, I mean, right now, first of all, then the sheriff threatened to put his hands on me. So I had to run all the way down here. This is how I got here. I ran from the sheriff because they're basically trying to cover it up. They said, the warden, you're lying because the warden don't even go upstairs. First of all, the warden has been upstairs. And warden, I know they do weekly, they have to do weekly rounds or something like that. I do my research. I know what's going on. And I contacted Budish and he ignored me. And my Facebook account was after that, it was, I got in trouble. Well, my Facebook account got, what did Budish do? He basically told on me for telling him what's going on. I'm telling you to investigate and you're ignoring me. You guys are ignoring me. I emailed you guys. Why aren't you guys investigating? Why aren't you investigating? Why are you ignoring me? And I'm going to get investigated. The judge is threatening me because of this. Now she's over my case because I'm a witness over his case. So now you're going to be my judge? That's conflict of interest. I know what's going on. Second of all, I think the judge, the sheriff, and administration behind this because you went and grabbed my boy, Martin Robinson, my boyfriend. So this is not a black and white thing. They went and grabbed him, put him in some room, no judge, no prosecutor, just that attorney that we just fired who was going to be on our side that put in there threatened witnesses. Then he pulled the docket back out, changed his mind, and pink slipped my boyfriend. So now he's on his way to a mental health ward. Who does that? You only supposed to, he's not immediate threat to you guys. He's just asking for trial. You guys they're just trying to force him to plead. He don't want to plead. We're smart. Thank you.
Good evening. I know you've been here a long time, and so I'm going to be real brief. My name is Spencer Wells, and I'm one of the co-founders of the Cleveland Lead Safe Network, along with my partner, Yvanka Hall. And earlier today, one of our members, Taz Mays, gave a report. I've got copies. I came late. I got copies of his statement. But I want to reiterate the crisis that faces the justice system today is rooted in the childhood exposure to lead paint, lead dust from vacant lots, and lead coming from bad plumbing. And until we know and can identify how that's manifest in young people as impulsivity, as recklessness that leads them into trouble with the justice system, and until we block that lead from their living environment so that young people don't continue to go through the cycle of remedial education and remedial health care and then encounters with the justice system, we aren't going to make any progress on any of these things. So while you're doing all the things that these young people have recommended so far today, you need also to take a look at the long-term costs that are resulting in the crisis that you have in the justice system now. Thank you.
The final two speakers are Vanessa Marshall and Paul Fitzpatrick.
Good evening, County Council. Good evening, Executive. Armin Budish. We are here from Circle Mountain, and we hear all the complaints. We know of all the complaints, but we're actually here as hope as a solution, part of a solution. Just want to tell you a little bit about the organization itself. The mission of Circle Mountain is to change the lives of current and formerly incarcerated people, as well as those that struggle with addiction and mental illness. We are currently working directly with inmates in the Trumbull Correctional Institution camp, where inmates from Northeast Ohio counties are placed to serve their sentences. Our Keystone program is a 12-week holistic course in which inmates are challenged to expand their self-awareness and personal responsibility through activity-based reflection, develop healthy coping mechanisms and wellness practices through yoga and meditation, and nurture their intellectual growth and community connection through exploration of current events. We celebrate the hard work of each class through a graduation ceremony and provide access to continuing learning and growth for vocational skills, counseling, and fiscal responsibility. As our alumni integrate back into society, we make sure fundamental basic needs like clothing, hygiene products, cell phone access, and shelter are met, and that the progress that they have made can continue by connecting them to addiction recovery and psychosocial support services and employment opportunities. Through our program, we instill personal responsibility, create a network for mutual support, and promote self-awareness so that our members can go on to live more serene and productive lives. Circle Mountain's program reaches its members right where they are, while moving them towards a place of continual progress. We have high expectations for our members as they use our methods to triumph over both large and small bad habits. Our members' success is dependent on their dedication to our program. We also have been supported by Department of Rehabilitation and Correction, by case managers within Trumbull County. Oh, I'm sorry. And we also been supported by Congressman Tim Ryan for our importance in these efforts. I also want to make sure I introduce you to Justin. He's actually the founder of Circle Mountain.
If you wouldn't mind, my name is Justin Volpe. I'm the co-founder and executive director of Circle Mountain. I served a total of 3 years, and through self-awareness and through mindfulness, developed a 12-week course that took off like wildfire. I suffer from addiction myself. I'm a former heroin addict. I've committed crimes that were well-deserved of the time that I served. So I'm accountable for that. And I learned that through being self-aware. The beauty of the program that we teach today is that it's cost-effective and it works. The guys that I got now, out of the 15 that have been released, they're all out. And they're all employed. And this is all done through networking and through getting involved. We have a fantastic rate of success. This is proven. This is an opportunity. And I think it's an opportunity and a solution for you guys as opposed to another problem. And I thank you.
Thank you very much.
We also like to make sure we leave this information for you guys.
Thank you.
Last one. How y'all doing tonight? I'd like to thank Mr. Budish and County Council for taking a couple minutes to hear us, quite a few minutes. I stand here tonight, my name is Paul Fitzpatrick. I stand here tonight as the president of Ohio Cure, Citizens United for the Rehabilitation of Errants. I stand here as a tax-paying citizen of this county. I stand here as a registered voter of this county. I also stand here as a returned citizen. I served 18 and a half years in an Ohio prison. I am working on my third degree and will graduate from Cleveland State from the School of Urban Affairs in March. So I say that to say this about qualifications. It saddens me to hear what is going on in our county jail because the exact same things happened to me in 1998 when I was in the county jail under the then elected Sheriff McFall. So I want to emphasize that. That was very interesting when the woman from the voters pointed that out. And we know how that ended. So I appeal to you today to listen to me because I have a lot of experience. I sat in a county jail in 1998. I was sentenced dually for crimes I committed. After those sentencing, I sat in a segregation cell. I tied a noose around my neck, and I was going to kill myself because I had lost all hope. I had a day of reckoning. The guards didn't do their rounds. They couldn't care less. Everything you have heard, I experienced back then. I had a moment of clarity. I had found my stepfather dead when I was young. I had a moment of clarity which probably saved my life then. When I changed my life and decided to work on rehabilitation, not knowing if I would ever come home, I made a commitment that I would change the things I had done. I would get an education. I would get recovery, which I now have 21 years in active recovery. And I would earn a chance to make a difference. I'm compelled to be here in front of you because I know this monster. I've earned a second chance and the privilege to be trusted by people like yourselves. If we do not do something as a society and as a community, this will continue. I believe we can do something in spite of the current system. But we have to start asking ourselves, including you, Mr. Budish, what kind of returning citizen do we want to come? Do we want the Paul Fitzpatrick who was there, was hopeless, that was abused, that was damaged, to come home because 85% of our offenders return to our communities? Or do you want the gentleman like myself and so many others that I work with that I represent are the ones that put the work in, and the staff who actually believe in them, not the abusive ones, not the ones that are a part of the current culture, the ones that go in spite of it, that are called inmate lovers and given hell when they stand up and lose their jobs. You know who I'm talking about. It's been all over the news. Those are the people we need, the whistleblowers. I ask you, which person do you want to return? Because you have the power to make a difference. And the main solution I think we have to have when we look at this is you have to have people like myself who have put the work in, sitting at these tables now, helping you with the process, who will give you the information you truly need, not the sugarcoating one, who can say, no, this is what's really going on, this is how this works, this is what needs to be done because this is how this is going to play out. We don't have those people at these tables yet. One of the commitments I made in 1998 was if I got a second chance, I would work very hard to get a seat at the table. Today, I have that seat in many parts of my life. I'm also a homeowner, which I'm not happy with you. And I own a business, a part business in District 11, which I believe you are the councilwoman, I believe, for West Boulevard. Is that West Boulevard, District 11? I thought it was Miss Brady, but I had to look it up. If I'm wrong, whoever, I own a business in West Boulevard. And we are returning, we specifically focus on returning citizens, hiring them. I have the power of the vote. I have a voice today because I am a citizen of this county. And I promise you, I will push very hard for this legislation. And I'm not afraid to let my voice be heard or my past cannot be held against me. I stand on it. I ask you to work with people like me, with myself, to bring resolution to this so that somebody doesn't have to stand here in 20 years and say the things you've heard tonight. This is about humanity. This is about the right thing. It's not that we need more resources. We just got to figure out how to allocate those resources effectively. And you have to have the right people at the table to do so. I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that it? All right. Okay. Thank you for attending. And if we're now going to begin the regular council meeting for this evening. Could I have a motion to approve the minutes of the November 27th Committee of the Whole and November 27th regular meeting? Been so moved and second. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. The minutes are approved. And I understand we have a message from the county executive this evening.
I'm sorry, I was occupied. Did you, are we ready?
We're ready.
Thank you, Mr. President. To the many people who came to speak, I want to say I appreciate and share your concerns that were expressed today about the jail. Nothing is more important than the safety of our inmates and our staff and the community. For the last several years, we relied on the regular state evaluations of the jail, all of which were positive. But when people died, I became very concerned and called for a comprehensive evaluation. I asked Marshal Pete Elliott to put together a team of the best jail investigators in the country to investigate the jail, and not just the deaths, but everything in the jail. You've seen the Marshal's report. It details more than 100 deficiencies, many serious, that require correction. It's devastating. I want to assure you that fixing the jail is our highest priority. Acting Jail Director George Taylor, Sheriff Cliff Pinkney, and Safety Chief Brandy Carney are laser focused on this task, and they're acting with urgency. They've already remedied more than a quarter of the problem conditions. These include separating juveniles from adult inmates and providing them with nutritious meals. Withholding food is not being used as a punishment. Shower curtains have been installed to maintain privacy. There are no pregnant women sleeping on the floor, and no one is denied toilet paper. We are actively working on issues in the kitchen. We have Orkin coming in regularly to treat for pests. Our SRT group, which handles difficult situations with inmates, is being reevaluated, and we will be introducing new protocols and training. Funds have been added to bring the nursing staff to a full complement. We're working closely with Metro, and they've agreed to take over the entire medical program early next year. We've reached agreement with the American Corrections Association to come in and provide us with a specific roadmap for correcting the most difficult problems in the jail. The Marshal's report stated the problems, but not a plan for remedying them. The ACA sets the gold standard for jails across the country. The worst problems in the jail are longstanding. It's important to understand some of the root causes of the problems. Our jail is overcrowded. Overcrowding of jails is a national problem, and jails have become the primary repository for people with addiction and mental health problems. That's wrong. These are people who need support and treatment, not incarceration. We're working to create a mental health diversion center to both treat people with mental illness or addictions and to divert them from the criminal justice system so that they don't cycle in and out of jail. Another problem is simply the number of people who are in our jails waiting for trial. So we're working on an overall reform of our criminal justice system. We're working with the judges, prosecutor, and others in the community on bail reform. That will reduce the numbers in the jail and it'll allow low-level, nonviolent offenders to return more quickly to their communities and their families and their jobs. And the jail itself is outdated. We're decades behind other jails in the country. Some of the problems outlined in the Marshal's report are due to the fact that we have this old, inefficient building housing our inmates. We are working with the judges, the prosecutors, and other stakeholders to develop a plan for a new, more modern jail. Finally, I want you to know that I understand how painful this is for our community. We are not proud of the fact that our jail has been labeled inhumane, where some of the conditions are way below par. I know that there are people in this room or watching this who have loved ones in our jail, I take this responsibility very, very seriously. I will not stand for less than a complete response to the Marshal's report, and I have made it clear to my leadership that we are not stopping until we get this right. As we make progress, we will be reporting regularly to the community. And we want to involve the community. We are working to create a community panel whose mission will be to listen to the community and your concerns to make sure that your concerns are communicated to and addressed by leadership in the county. And to council, this is going to take money and maybe new programs and initiatives. We don't entirely know yet until we've received our roadmap from the ACA what will be required. So I appreciate Council President Brady's comments earlier indicating council's interest and intent in working with me and our administration quickly and collaboratively to get the necessary funding and the programs in place so we can fix this for our community. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Legislation introduced by council. Consideration of a resolution of council for first reading, adoption under suspension of rules. Could I have a motion to suspend the rules?
Mr. President, I move to suspend the rules.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Rules are suspended.
Resolution number 2018-0260, approving the expiration and retention of pending legislation in accordance with County Council Rule 11F.
Move to adopt.
And Madam Clerk, could you explain this legislation for us?
Yes, Mr. President. Per the County Council Rule 11F, I'm required to provide a list of legislation sponsored by council members that's set to expire. This includes all legislation that's introduced prior to July 1st. In each year, a general election for members of council takes place. I have provided that list to the council members, and the county executive is required and have prepared the necessary legislation for council's consideration, which is what you have before you.
All right, thank you. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Resolution is adopted.
Resolution number 2018-0261, approving the Charter of County of Cuyahoga, Ohio, as amended through November 6, 2018.
Clerk, would you just give us a little more help with this as
Yes,
well?
Mr. President. On November 27th, 2018, the Board of Elections issued the official certificates of result of election on question or issue, in which the proposed charter amendments were approved based on the votes of the electors of the county. Per County Charter Section 12.11, I'm required to incorporate the amendments into the county charter. I have done so and have certified the incorporation of the amendments approved by the electors. The Director of Law has also approved the amendments as incorporated by me. Therefore, I've prepared the necessary legislation for council's consideration, which is what you have before you.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Resolution is adopted. Committee report and consideration of a resolution of council for second reading adoption under suspension of the rules. Could I have a motion to suspend the rules?
Mr. President.
Second.
Has been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The rules have been suspended.
Resolution number 2018-0241, adopting various changes to the Cuyahoga County non-bargaining classification plan.
Adopt.
Second.
Moved and seconded.
Council President, these items were brought before the Human Resource Appointment and Equities Committee. There were 6 new, 8 proposed changes, and 10 deleted, no incumbents in the deleted positions. So I respectfully request my colleagues' support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Consideration of an ordinance of council for first reading and referral to committee.
Ordinance number 2018-0013, amending section 204.01 of the Cuyahoga County Code to require county agencies to provide a response to recommendations issued as part of an investigation of the Agency of Inspector General, and to update the county code in accordance with the adoption of Article 15 of the county charter.
We'll be referring this to council operations. Legislation introduced by the executive, consideration of a resolution for first reading adoption under suspension of the rules. Could I have a motion to suspend the rules?
President, I move to suspend the rules.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the rules have been suspended.
Resolution number 2018-0262, amending the 2018-2019 biennial operating budget for 2018 by providing for additional fiscal appropriations for appropriation transfers and for cash transfers, and amending various resolutions to reconcile appropriations for 2018.
Move to adopt. Mr. President, my colleagues, this is the regular monthly fiscal agenda. Questions have been directed to OBM and answered to our satisfaction. The questions and answers are on your desk. The resolution consists mostly of routine appropriation and closeout of grants and routine appropriations and transfers to settle accounts for the year. Two items merit special mention. There is an appropriation of $1,568,000 in additional subsidy dollars for the crime lab. This partially reflects lower than expected revenue and an underestimate of the subsidy required when budgeting, but it probably also reflects heavy spending related to the opiate crisis. Also notable are significant expenses for indirect cost reconciliation in Health and Human Services departments, such as the $3,656,000 item for DCFS. The application of these charges helps the general fund recoup expenses but puts additional pressure on the HHS levy fund. There are likely to be two fiscal agendas in January, one for the 2019 budget update and the other for routine items. To facilitate the legislative process, our plan is to separate the budget update items, which will go to committee, from the routine items which can be passed under suspension. I recommend passage of today's resolution under first reading suspension.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted.
Resolution number 2018-0263, approving a collective bargaining agreement between Cuyahoga County and Fraternal Order of Police, Ohio Labor Council Incorporated, representing approximately 20 employees in the classification of Corrections Officer Sergeant at the Sheriff's Department for the period January 1, 2018 through December 31, 2020, directing that funds necessary to implement the collective bargaining agreement be budgeted and appropriated.
Adopt. Second. This item, as you know, was previously discussed in the executive committee. Are there any other questions? This is the labor contract. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. Was there any dissension there? Sorry. Clerk, I guess we're good.
Resolution number 2018-0264, approving a proposed settlement in the matter of State ex rel. James Connell et al. Versus City of North Olmsted et al. Cuyahoga County Common Pleas Court case number CV 15-848055, authorizing the county executive and or his designee to execute the settlement agreement and any related documentation, authorizing the appropriation of funds for payment of settlement amounts set forth herein.
This item is going to be held pending more discussion. Consideration of resolutions for first reading and referral to committee.
Resolution number 2018-0265, authorizing a revenue-generating utility agreement with City of Cleveland Heights in the amount not to exceed $600,000 for maintenance and repair of storm sewers and sanitary sewers located in County Sewer District number 17 for the period January 1, 2019 through December 31, 2019.
Referred to Public Works.
Resolution number 2018-0266, designating eligible institutions as public depositories of active and interim funds of Cuyahoga County, authorizing various bank depository agreements for deposits of said public funds, each in the deposit limit amount not to exceed $200 million for the period November 1, 2018 through August 23, 2021, in accordance with the Uniform Depository Act of Ohio, with the bank institutions as printed on the agenda.
Be referred to Finance. Committee reports and consideration of resolutions for second reading.
Resolution number 2018-0236, authorizing an amendment to contract number CE 1800-178 with Schwartz Uniform Corporation for correction officer, corporal, and sergeant uniforms for the period March 19, 2018 through March 18, 2021, to extend the time period to December 31, 2021, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $570,000.
Item will move to the January 8th council agenda for consideration for third reading adoption, contingent of course upon the council's approval of its 2019 meeting schedule.
Resolution number 2018-0238, authorizing an amendment to contract number CE 1700-241 with Child Care Resource Center of Cuyahoga County, doing business as Starting Point for out-of-school time services for youth for the period January 1, 2018 through December 31, 2018, to extend the time period to December 31, 2019, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $1,645,000.
Item will also move to the January 8th council agenda for consideration for third reading adoption. Committee reports and consideration of resolutions for second reading adoption under suspension of the rules. Could I have a motion to suspend the rules?
Mr. President, I move to suspend the rules.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, the ayes have it. The rules have been suspended.
Resolution number 2018-0244, authorizing an amendment to a qualified management agreement with Hilton Management relating to management of a convention center hotel to change the scope of services, in part to pay for maintenance of the connector tunnel between Hilton Hotel and Huntington Park Garage for the period May 1, 2018 through May 31, 2031, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $1,061,000, authorizing an addendum to the qualified management agreement to confirm the opening date of the hotel as June 1, 2016.
Move to adopt.
Mr. President, Ms. Nicole English came before the Public Works Committee on December 5th, 2018, and discussed this amendment to the original management agreement with the Hilton. This is dealing with the tunnel. Initially, this did not include management of the tunnel there. This clarifies that and takes care of that that was out there. And I ask for my colleagues' support on this for second reading suspension.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted.
Resolution number 2018-0245, authorizing an amendment to contract number CE 1800-242 with Whiting Turner Contracting Company for design build services for the maintenance yard consolidation project for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $12,690,000.
Motion to adopt. Mr. President, on the same date, December 5th, Mr. Reimer from Public Works came before the committee. This is a maintenance consolidation project that will allow the administration to encumber money for the project. There was an initial survey done, a site review, and the pavement conditions were worse after the initial site than anticipated. This will deal with paving systems, concrete paving around the perimeter of the area, the maintenance yard, as part of the maintenance yard consolidation project. It's a $1.24 million increase, and we thoroughly discussed this in the committee, so I would ask that we move forward on this on second reading suspension.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted.
Resolution number 2018-0246, making an award on requisition number 43803 to Perk Company Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $4,499,104.25 for resurfacing Cedar Road from South Green Road to Interstate 271 in the cities of South Euclid, Beechwood, Lyndhurst, and University Heights. Additionally, Councilmember Simon has requested to be sponsor to this item.
A motion to adopt.
Second.
And Mr. President, on this resolution here, this is a resurfacing of Cedar Road in 4 communities. This went to the lowest and best bidder. It's 20% issue 1 money, 80% funded by NWACA, and the county will be managing the project, and they want to get moving on this. So again, I would ask for second reading suspension on this resolution as well.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted.
Resolution number 2018-0247, authorizing the county executive to accept dedication of land for Sweet Gum Trail in Shady Reserve Subdivision Phase 4, located in Olmsted Township, as a public street with established setback lines, rights of way, and easements, authorizing the county executive to accept dedication of easements for construction, maintenance, and operation of public facilities and appurtenances in Shady Reserve Subdivision Phase 4 to public use granted to the County of Cuyahoga and its corporate successors, authorizing the county executive to execute the final plat in connection with said dedications.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
And Mr. President, Mr. Glenn Coyne of the planning came before the Public Works, and this is final plot, 22 lots. Again, it's the acceptance of the right-of-way and easements dealing with the township out there, which is county's responsibility. So would ask for second reading suspension on this as well.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted.
Resolution number 2018-0248, authorizing a tax certificate sale purchase agreement with FIG as custodian for FIG OH18 LLC and secured party as purchaser, and Finch Investment Group LLC as servicer, in the amount not to exceed $12 million for the sale of tax lien certificates.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
And Mr. President, this particular resolution is currently the two parcels that the county would like to put up for sale. It's currently in the Board of the Development of Disabilities name, and we'd like to place it in the county name, and therefore put it on the market for sale. And we're looking for second reading suspension on this piece of legislation as well.
I have to admit that I'm out of order somehow here. Could somebody help me out?
And if I'm,
It's item number 5 on page 7.
I'm out of order.
That's what I thought.
I don't think you're out of order. Yeah. A good movie, but I'm out of order on this one. My apologies.
All right.
Would you like
Very
to take
good.
back your first and second, or just keep it?
I'm going to tell you this, since we've got an awkward moment here. I really would appreciate it if the treasurer would come forward in case there are questions. We want to try that again now?
Well, right now we have a motion, a first and a second by Mr. Tuma and second by
I'm just
Mr.
saying,
Schrein.
would you read the, I know that you've read the
Sure.
ordinance, but just read it again.
Yes, resolution number 2018-0248, authorizing a tax certificate sale purchase agreement with FIG as custodian for FIG OH18 LLC and secured party as purchaser, and Finch Investment Group LLC as servicer, in the amount not to exceed $12 million for the sale of tax lien certificates.
And Mr. Chairman, if the first and second has already been made,
I don't think that applies to this legislation myself.
Okay, then I make
try
the
that
motion.
again. Yeah.
Move to adopt.
Move to adopt, and I'll second that. But is there any discussion?
Yes, and this legislation was heard in the Community Development Committee. There were many questions asked. We heard some concerns today in the public comment. Let me allow you, Mr. Murray, to actually respond, because I'm sure you heard them as well, and let you respond as administration.
Yes, I did. The tax lien process is allowed via Ohio Revised Code. All treasurers are allowed to sell the state's lien on delinquent parcels. What we do is we give taxpayers, in this case, we gave taxpayers a little over 60 days to come in and make payment arrangements. We let each taxpayer know that was subject to sale. They actually received a letter from my office. So taxpayers are given the opportunity. If the taxpayer does not come in and either redeem in full or make payment arrangements, then we have the ability to sell the lien, not the parcel, but to actually sell the lien on the property. And what that means is a third-party purchaser purchases the delinquent taxes. Therefore, we are made whole. I don't need to remind you, but 60% of what we collect in property taxes goes to your local school districts. But the county is made whole, and then the lien purchaser has the ability to make payment arrangements themselves with the taxpayer.
Questions by the committee? Councilwoman Simon?
I just wanted to say, it's not a question, so I'll wait for questions as a comment.
Okay, well, you can make a comment.
Okay, I just want to say we went through committee and asked a lot of questions, and there's an innate tension between trying to keep people in homes and also trying to do our due diligence, our fiduciary duty to collect property tax, and it's some balance that I believe we need to reach. As a result of that committee meeting, I've asked to begin a comprehensive policy analysis of how we're handling tax liens, tax delinquencies, how it impacts housing in a more comprehensive manner. So that I'm going to support this because I think we need to do this, but going forward, we've got to look at how we're handling this more comprehensively. And I appreciate the comment today from the microphone, as well as hearing from people emailing me about delinquent taxes and how we need to collect. So it's a balancing act.
I agree.
Councilwoman Stevens, I think you may know a little bit about this issue.
Unfortunately, this process is important.
Excuse me, Councilwoman, is the light on your microphone?
Gotta learn how to do that. Thank you. Unfortunately, I do know about this process. My concern is the community input and outreach, and sometimes 60 days is not enough for a family that's already having financial difficulties to work with your staff to come up with a plan. So I'm very supportive of us working in the next year to have a much more inclusive process. Have you assigned someone on your team to begin that dialogue so that you can present to County Council some solutions that would help residents of our county feel like we'd worked with them before we sold these tax lien certificates?
I have no issue with that. We're currently, just so that everyone knows, we currently for each taxpayer that's delinquent, you are receiving at least 3 mailings from our office. We have a first half collection, a second half collection, as well as a third billing collection, and so I'm certainly open to other avenues to reach taxpayers. As you also will know, sometimes the addresses that we have are not the best. So I am limited by what I've got in the system, and that's what I have. So, but I'm certainly willing. I'm willing to reach out via email. I'm willing to reach out via regular mail. However I can help, that's fine.
At one point in time, there was a dialogue with the community development corporations,
yes,
in the city, and
yes,
some of the suburban municipalities who were members of, for example, First Ring Suburbs.
Yes.
Are you continuing to that dialogue so that at least there's some community-based engagement?
Yes. Before we make the portfolio available to lien purchasers, we actually give the portfolio to community organizations, city councilmen, CDCs, Land Bank gets it, and so I'm fully confident that the people in the community, they have a vested interest in making sure the right liens are sold. I'm confident that that's being done, but I'm willing to work with whoever wants to work in this particular space.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Again, just to reemphasize, there's a concern about certain properties, whether those liens should be remain on that list. The neighborhood organizations, the CDCs, speak again to what role they play in possibly pooling houses and the vetting that they do as to whether, because they do get first crack at whether a house should remain or a lien should remain on that list. Speak to that.
Yes, they do. Thank you, Councilman. Again, the community organizations, and we have working relationships with many of them, including First Suburbs, city managers, mayors, city councilmen, all of these individuals. We've got their contact information, and so we've been doing this. This is actually my 3rd tax lien sale in my tenure, and so at this point I believe we have the relationships are already established.
that if you come to me with a parcel that you want pulled from the sale, really I just need the individual to communicate that with me. If you tell me that the parcel has there are development interests, if the parcel maybe has criminal history, we don't want that sold. We pull it from the sale, and so this is the methodology that we're using. It seems to be rather successful. I can tell you just with this sale, we started out with a portfolio of approximately 5,000. 2,000 came off the portfolio right off the bat, just due to the individual organizations and community leaders asking that we not sell a parcel. And then in the course of giving taxpayers 60 plus days, which is more than we've given in the past, the portfolio is whittled down each day, because every day someone comes in and either redeems or makes payment arrangements. And so at this point, the portfolio is under 900 parcels at this point.
When the community
and I also just want to make sure that I include this. The interest rate that is before council today is actually 14%, which is 4% less than the state allows.
When the community interest asked that a lien not be placed on a particular parcel, do you ever push back and deny them, or do you?
Rarely. I mean, at this point, I couldn't speak to whether or not a parcel, there's interest in a parcel in a particular neighborhood or in a particular municipality. So I'm trusting my public sector brethren to tell me what they really need to ensure is not on the sale.
So in this particular tax lien sale, if a CDC or the public interest said this one should not be on, you did pull them?
We pull it.
You pulled it.
Right. Because it doesn't help the community if I'm selling a lien where there may be some other plans for that parcel.
Well, as we all know, this is a very sensitive issue. Mm-hmm. We've, I believe, gotten collectively, better at this as we've gone along. We had a good discussion about this in Community Development Committee. I was pleased to see that you're working with VAPAC. There's a lot of experience there in terms of these kinds of issues. Mm-hmm. And so, understanding completely how sensitive this issue is and how important it is, I'm certainly in support of this particular sale at this time, and always trying to improve. Anybody else, Councilwoman?
Yes, many of the liens are on our seniors' homes, and I think me and Mr. Murray have talked about this. And the seniors who live on a fixed income, I have to agree with Councilwoman Simon. We really need to find a balancing act of both our role to collect and keeping the seniors in their homes. And I think Councilman Brady's moving forward with the housing legislation.
We're proposing it.
Right. Should roll into that. So just to let individuals know we are working on something. Thank you.
Else? All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Thank you, Mr. Murray.
Resolution number 2018-0249, authorizing an amendment to contract number CE 1600-270 with Highland Group Incorporated for insurance brokerage and risk management services for the period January 1, 2017 through December 31, 2018, to exercise an option to extend the time period to December 31, 2019, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $1,447,446. Mr. President, this item was pending committee recommendation, and it did receive a favorable recommendation by the Finance and Budgeting Committee for second reading adoption.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Mr. President, my colleagues, this resolution approves a one-year contract for $1,477,000 with Highland Group for insurance brokerage and risk management services. The vast majority of the cost is for actual insurance coverages. Highland's brokerage and management services comprise only a small portion. the county is considering obtaining additional coverage for errors and omissions insurance for county employees and public officials. But if the administration decides to pursue such coverage, it will be done as a contract amendment at a future date. This resolution was passed unanimously by the Finance and Budget Committee, and I recommend approval.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. Resolution is adopted.
Resolution number 2018-0250, authorizing a purchase and sale agreement with Cuyahoga County Board of Developmental Disabilities in the amount of $1 for the purchase of 2 vacant parcels known as permanent parcel numbers 673-27049 and 673-27050, located in the city of East Cleveland.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Mr. President, this was this exciting piece of legislation I wanted to get to earlier.
You must have been really excited.
This is currently two lots, parcels in the Board of Developmental Disabilities name, and we're looking to move this into the county's name so these can be put on market for sale. And we're asking for second reading suspension on this. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted.
Resolution number 2018-0251, making an award on requisition number 43173 to Onsolve Intermediate Holding Company, Incorporated, in the amount not to exceed $588,000 for a mass notification system for the period December 12, 2018 through December 11, 2023.
Move to adopt.
Second.
This, Mr. President, this was presented at the last safety meeting Mrs. Carney presented, and the primary goal of this project is to acquire new hosted supported mass notification to expand functionality, redundancy, and throughput, which is a new word, of the current alert program. The mass notification system is used to transmit warnings, alerts, recalls, notifications, emergency communications, and administrative announcements over multiple pathways to county employees, residents, and organizations, including the county government, municipal governments, multi-jurisdictional response teams, regional governmental bodies, public health organizations, and non-governmental organizations. The committee recommends adoption, and Mrs. Carney is available to answer any further questions.
Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted.
Resolution number 2018-0252, authorizing an amendment to contract number CE 1500-307 with Midwest Presort Mailing Services, Incorporated, for electronic certified mail services for the period October 1, 2015 through September 30, 2018, to extend the time period to December 31, 2022, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $1 million.
Move to adopt. Second. Mr. President, also this was presented at the last Public Safety Committee hearing last Tuesday. This is for certified mailings through the court, through the clerk of courts. Recommendation was adoption.
Any questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted.
Resolution number 2018-0253, authorizing an amendment to a master contract with various providers for out-of-home placement and foster care services for the period January 1, 2018 through December 31, 2018, to authorize an exemption with regard to Homes for Kids of Ohio, Incorporated, in accordance with Cuyahoga County Code Section 501.12B10, to add a new provider, Homes for Kids of Ohio, Incorporated, for the period October 1, 2018 through December 31, 2018, to change the scope of services effective October 1, 2018, and for additional funds in the total amount not to exceed $7,069,870 for the previously approved and new providers as listed on the agenda.
Second.
The next two contracts deals with Board of Care for children in our care, and we're up to 20% of children going into care. It's costing the county $4 to $4.5 million expenses every month. 4 additional providers were added out of state for some specialized treatments and dealing with kids' issues. The committee suggests we set up some Skype presentations. We're trying to work with that with Walter to visit the agencies that we can't see outside of state. and this committee recommends passage for this contract.
Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted.
Resolution number 2018-0254, authorizing an amendment to a master contract with various providers for out-of-home placement and foster care services for the period January 1, 2018 through December 31, 2018, to extend the time period to December 31, 2019, to authorize an exemption with regard to Youth for Tomorrow, New Life Center Incorporated, and Multi-County Juvenile Attention System in accordance with Cuyahoga County Code Section 501.12B10, to add various new providers and for additional funds in the total amount not to exceed $46,200,000 for the previously approved providers and new providers as printed on the agenda.
Move to adopt. Second. No discussion.
All righty. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted.
Resolution number 2018-0255, making awards on requisition number 42589 to various providers in the total amount not to exceed $3,500,000 for family-centered support services for at-risk children and families for the period January 1, 2019 through December 31, 2019 for the providers as listed on the agenda.
This RFP had 15 responses. 11 agencies won the contract. 1 agency withdrew. The RFP was consolidated to include a variety of services and awards and duplicative administrative costs. Hopefully this will narrow that. This committee recommends passage.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted.
Resolution number 2018-0256, making awards on requisition number 42490 to various municipalities and providers in the total amount not to exceed $1,741,596 for various services for the Community Social Services Program for the period January 1, 2019 through December 31, 2019 for the providers as listed on the agenda.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Posted April 2018 for 1 year with the 2-year options to amend. There were 30 providers that submitted. 26 were awarded and 25 were reoccurring providers and 1 was new. A 10% increase in the need for adult development, congregate meals, transportation, adult day services, and higher level of care was stated emphatically in committee, and this committee recommends passage.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted.
Resolution number 2018-0257, authorizing amendments to agreements and a contract with various providers for various programs and services for the Cuyahoga County Fatherhood Initiative for the period January 1, 2018 through December 31, 2018, to extend the time period to December 31, 2019, and for additional funds as listed on the agenda.
Move to adopt. These are the additional contracts we were expecting when the bulk of the fatherhood contracts came before us a couple of weeks ago. The fatherhood budget is roughly $1.3 million. $825.7 is federal funds, $390 are grants from various other agencies, and $93,000 is Health and Human Service levy dollars. And this committee recommends passage.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted.
Resolution number 2018-0258, authorizing a contract with United Way of Greater Cleveland in the amount not to exceed $1,095,450 for fiscal agent services for emergency food purchases for Cuyahoga County residents for the period January 1, 2019 through December 31, 2019.
Move to adopt. And this resolution is self-explanatory, so I ask the committees recommend passage.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. Resolution is adopted.
Resolution number 2018-0259, authorizing an amendment to contract number CE 17066 with Lutheran Metropolitan Ministry for emergency shelter services for single adults at the Men's Emergency Shelter located at 2100 Lakeside Avenue, Cleveland, for the period May 1, 2017 through December 31, 2019, for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $2,081,638.
Move to adopt. This RFP was first done in November 2016, and a new RFP will be needed in 2021. There was a slight increase of $200,000 needed for the shelter. This committee recommends passage.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Consideration of a resolution for third reading adoption.
Resolution number 2018-0234, authorizing a sole source contract with Manatron Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $593,589 for support and maintenance services for the Manatron Visual Property Tax System and Sigma Gamma software system for the period January 1, 2019 through December 31, 2019.
Move to adopt. Mr. President, my colleagues, this resolution is a routine one-year contract with Manatron Incorporated for $593,589 for maintenance on our property record system. This system will be superseded by the new Harris system when it becomes operational. We have a 30-day out clause on this contract. Funding is entirely provided through the Real Estate Assessment Fund. The resolution has received the full three readings, was recommended by Finance and Budget, and I recommend approval.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Miscellaneous committee reports. There are no council committees scheduled to meet until after the new year, except for the Committee of the Whole on December the 13th at 10:30 a.m., which is Mr. Zig, we'll call him.
Right.
Just leave it at that, to come in and give a presentation on the ERP project, right, Councilman?
That's correct.
And is there any other miscellaneous business before the council? Hearing none. I know it's been a long day. Thank all of you for putting up with the fire drill sort of schedule that we had, and thank you for your service. This committee is adjourned.